Hi there, my name is Laura Andrews, and this is my sheep's heart dissection lab for Biology 235 at EPU. There we go. So first, we're going to start with the external anatomy of the heart. Here we have the sheep's heart. There, I believe, is no visceral pericardium, no epicardium to this sheep's heart, but there is a considerable amount of fat on the heart, as you can see here. The base of the heart is here. The apex of the heart is here. Oops, the heart actually sits like this. There is a right atria and a left atria here, right and left. The blood in the right atrium, is deoxygenated, and the blood in the left atrium is oxygenated. Here I have the right auricle and the left auricle here, this kind of grayish brown tissue here. And the auricles function to increase the capacity of the atria, to increase the volume of blood they can contain. Then inferior to that, I would have the right ventricle here and the left ventricle here. And can't quite tell because of the layer of fat here, but I believe this is where the interventricular sulcus runs. And this consists of the circumflex artery, the great cardiac vein, and the anterior, and it would be here, the posterior interventricular arteries, as well as the middle cardiac vein on the posterior side. Looking at the superior angle of the heart, let's see if I can show here, I believe this to be the pulmonary trunk here, which would ascend and travel to the lungs. In this case, the blood from the pulmonary trunk is heading to the lungs, as I mentioned, and it is deoxygenated. It returns back to the lungs via through the right atrium to the coronary sinus. The atrium is located here, and this blood is oxygenated and it is heading out to the rest of the body. There is no ascending aorta present in this heart. I believe it was severed off. And as there is no aortic arch, I cannot point out the brachiocephalic artery, the left common carotid, or the left subclavian artery. But if the heart were to show the arch coming up like this, on the rightmost side would be the brachiocephalic artery. In the center, we would have the left common carotid artery, and on the left side, we would have the left subclavicular artery. So we go brachiocephalic up here, left common carotid here, and the left supraclavicular artery. Subclavian artery. So here, I would have the superior vena cava, which is where deoxygenated blood enters the heart. In this particular heart, you cannot see the inferior vena cava. Maybe when I go to dissect this guy in half, we'll be able to see it then. The coronary sinus receives blood from the left marginal vein and the left posterior ventricular vein, and it drains into the right atrium here. The coronary sinus is a vein, you note that, and the blood that it carries is deoxygenated. Now we're going to look at the internal structures of the heart. I have cut the heart in half into an anterior and a posterior half, but for this part we will focus on the posterior half. So again, I have the left atrium here, and this is the auricle, which would expand and allow for greater blood volume in the atrium. And here is the right auricle as well, which again expands. I have trabeculae carnae, which is these stringy parts of the muscle here. The papillary muscle and the chordae tendineae are inferior to that. This here is the right ventricle, and as part of I have the, let's see if I can grab it here with my probe. Here I have part of the right atrioventricular valve, and over here I have part of the left atrioventricular valve. Again, this is severed when I cut it in half, but you can see part of that valve here. And these valves produce the lub-dub beating of the heart, and if these valves do not close all the way, it can result in a heart murmur. Now going here, I have the aorta, which would ascend through here, and again, the aortic arch has been severed in this particular organ, but it would ascend through here out the left atrium. Here, I have, let's see if I can get this through here. I have the pulmonary trunk, which would come through here and empty into the right atrium. And finally, it is important to note that this here, the intraventricular septum, I believe, which separates the left and the right ventricles. The myocardium of the left ventricle is almost 3 times the width of that of the right ventricle. And that is because the left ventricle is responsible for pumping the blood up out through the aorta to supply the rest of the body. And this action requires considerably more strength and power, which is why the walls of the myocardium on the left side are considerably thicker than that of the right side.